Welcome to the Kevin Clancy Show. I've been in this game over a decade, and I knew I needed a place where I could run wild on my own solo podcast, where I tell personal stories, I deep dive into conspiracy theories, we rip through the current events of the day, and we do sit-down conversations with the most interesting people on the internet. Make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss an episode. What's up, you mutts? It's an episode of the Kevin Clancy Show here in one of the biggest weeks in... I look all like sunburned, don't I? Weird. It's one of the biggest weeks in recent Barstool memory as far as the drama and the level of absurdity. I mean, somebody put a tent on this circus, man. It has been out of control all week, and I know that the love triangle situation has been the talk of the town, from Dave and Dan all the way up to Tom Brady, other people outside of Barstool weighing in on whose side they're on or what they believe should or should not happen and all this shit. And I've said all along, that to me is a messy situation that was destined to be a messy situation. It's what happens when there's office romances. That's what happens when you're in your early 20s. And so that, you know, the salacious gossip angle from that, to me, I've seen that before. I've heard that before. But the secondary story that came out of this was far more interesting to me, and that was the Deke Zucker situation. So I did the live stream on Monday talking all about this, but I'll also refresh right now if you're listening for the first time. Deke Zucker is this dude on Twitter who used to listen to all of our Barstool Radio Sirius XM shows, and he would live tweet all of the most important quotes and everything that happened on those shows. Got to the point that he got a big following. He talked to a lot of the people on air because they were always, sometimes they would DM him and ask him to take something down or to clarify something, and then a lot of gossip started happening, and he kind of became this Barstool insider while trolling around on the Reddit page and Reddit Twitter burners and DMing with people. So he got like a wealth of information about a lot of people at Barstool, while all the while not even working here. He was one of the most effective promoters of Barstool content, all while not even being on the payroll. So that's Deke Zucker. When the whole thing with Hank went down, he was very bent out of shape. He is a very big fan of Hank, did not like that happened, and he tweeted saying he wanted Team Hank, the hashtag, to trend, and then if it did, he would release a list of names of people at Barstool who have Reddit burner accounts who had been talking shit about people for many, many years now. That, to me, is way more interesting than the Hank Rhea Marty story. And I've been getting a lot of feedback of fans being like, who cares, dude? No one's talking about that. It's all about Hank Rhea and Marty. Why do you give a shit about this? To me, a story of producers and content people behind the scenes and in front of the camera secretly sabotaging, torpedoing, and shit-talking all of their coworkers is a way more important story to me than who's fucking who. I stay out of people's personal business because I know how shitty it can be when shit goes down, when they don't know they don't know what's happening behind the scenes, they don't know who's who and what's what and what was really said and what wasn't said. And I think that when a bunch of 20-somethings end up fucking each other, it happens. It's not great. But to me, way more interesting and intriguing is who is out there trying to ruin people's careers. Now, I also have a higher level of interest because Deke Zucker went on to tweet that Smitty, myself, and one other person who used to work here were the most talked about people on these alleged burners. So I, of course, personally, I'm like, I want to know if a company that I have put like my blood, sweat, and tears, like literally my whole life into, if people within these walls are talking about me or shitting on me or trying to stop my content or whatever, I definitely want to know that. I don't know where all of a sudden we decided that's not something that's interesting. A lot of people on Twitter were like, who cares? Boring. I'm like, this is the most Barstool story of all time. We've had sagas about this in the past with Franny Lydon and the porn saga and trying to find out, all of the gossip of who's against me and who's with me and who's for Barstool and who's against Barstool. And this whole week, while we're talking about loyalty, I couldn't believe that there was not any mention of this list. I don't know why we seem to not have an interest in that. I definitely do. I think it goes beyond me personally being listed. Obviously, that's a huge part of it. But the fact that people are just kind of like, no, let's keep talking about this relationship. I don't get that. I've seen enough people on Twitter kind of being like, the 20-somethings care about the love triangle, the 30-somethings care about the career ramifications. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's an age thing. Maybe it's just a preference thing. I don't know. I forgot to bring my water bottle in. Can you send Pabs to grab me some water? So that's setting the scene. And I do have to admit, though, this is going to be it for me. Whether we find out these people or not, I can't talk about it anymore. Because what happened last night, Deke Zucker, yesterday, I spoke to Deke Zucker. Deke spoke to a bunch of other people at Barstool, according to him. And I had a conversation with him being like, tell me these names. And he said he doesn't want to get anybody fired. And he said that he spoke to several other people at Barstool, all of which told him not to release the list. And that's when I started seeing red even more. Thank you. That was when I actually reacted way more than I ever anticipated. I was very interested in it, and I wanted to know the names, but I also didn't. It wasn't firing me up until last night when Deke formally declared he's not releasing the names. I was seeing red, dude. I was about as mad as I have been in my Barstool career. I was fuming. For two reasons. One, I was like, now I need a whole new list of the word list has been said 750,000 times this week. I was like, I now need a new list of the people who are seemingly protecting the people on this original list. What the fuck is that about? Why would we protect anybody who's on that list? These are people who are against the company, against your friends and coworkers. And we've had this whole week talking about loyalty, but now you're going to prevent me or anybody else from finding out the people who are trying to sabotage and torpedo or torture them. To me, I was like, what the fuck is that about? So I had, half my anger towards that. The other half of my anger was towards Deke Zucker himself, who you can't play this game. You can't run into a room and be like, I know something you don't know, and run away. Not on this level. Because to drop in, and by the way, let me just say, there's a million people out there who are like, the list isn't real. This isn't real. You're getting duped. The list is real. It's not hardcore smoking gun, IP address. We have you dead to rights and we know who you are, what you said, when you said it, and where you said it. It's not that. Which is also more the reason why I think this dude should just tell the people, because he keeps talking about legal ramifications and people getting fired, and that's not going to happen. A, because I don't want to get people fired either, because that means I have to get caught up in HR and potential lawsuits, and all I want to do is get my fucking money and sail off into the sunset. So I wouldn't want to go through that. I just want to know for my own peace of mind. And two, it's not enough to get anybody fired. It's enough to find out who you need to avoid and who's a snake and who's not. And so when you come in to a situation, and he admitted as much, he was like, I never thought it was going to be this important or this big. Well, lesson learned, dude. You of all people should know that things at Barstool blow the fuck up. So you can't come in and specifically for me, he tagged me in a tweet saying, if KFC Barstool saw this list, he would come in the next day with a baseball bat. Because I was the most talked about person from all these producers and content people who are snakes, backstabbing and talking shit about people. You come in, you say that. Not only do you open up a whole new can of worms, and let me just say that all the while, Deke Zucker, his motivations for all this is to save Barstool, quote unquote, save Barstool. Which I appreciate diehard fans, and I know that some of our most diehard fans take this to a level that a lot of people don't understand, and a lot of people who even work here are kind of like, whoa, that's a lot. To talk about our company like we need saving is a little bit far-fetched to me. Clearly, this place is an absolute circus, and it's not like this tight-knit group of friends that some people might think it is. And it's changed, and it's grown, and in some ways gotten worse, in some ways gotten better. And he's one of these old school fans who says, I want to like save and help Barstool. That's his motivation. He also said on top of it that he was like, KFC radio and your content is like my favorite thing at Barstool. That's the thing I follow the most. So if that, all of that being said, you come in, you drop that bomb, you then single me out on Twitter in a very embarrassing way to be like, you were the most talked about, opening up a whole new can of worms for my legion of haters who, as if they don't have enough ammo to continually like harass me every day, now they have this new chirp of like, oh, everybody at the company hates you. You can't drop in, open that up, publicly list me, and then not tell me and say you're doing it like for me and for my company. And then when we have a private conversation and I tell you, I'm not going to get you fired. I have no interest in even really going public. I just need to know for myself and my team for two main reasons. One, I want to know who to avoid. I want to know who, while I wouldn't get them fired, I would certainly make sure they're not thriving or working with me, or I'm going the extra mile for their content, or I would tell all the close people that I work with, the Robbies and the Clems and Frankie and Trent and all the people I care about. I would be like, maybe guys look for a new producer. I would never take anything further than that because I don't want the headache. And if you knew my style and listened to my content and all that shit the way you do, you would know that I mean that the truest, because I don't like to get involved in anybody's shit. But that was the first reason. The second main reason is that a lot of it I know stems from my divorce and the cheating scandal. A lot of it has been going on for over 5 years now. It was 5 years ago. And to dangle this idea of like I finally get some knowledge and some closure on what went on there, because a lot of it would probably be confirming what I already do or don't know. I know who's a snake and who's not a snake. I know I keep my people close and I know to keep at arm's length. And a lot of it I think would probably be confirming like, oh, yep, called it. Or yep, knew that was going to be the case. Maybe there's a couple surprises where I'd be like, holy shit, didn't see that coming, but now I know. But to give me this like glimmer of hope of, arming myself with a little bit of knowledge to get some closure on it, know, who the good people are and who the bad people are, and move on from all that. And then just be like, nope, never mind, not going to do it. Because I'm afraid of like fake, impossible legal ramifications. Fuck that. Either don't include me in it, don't single me out, don't embarrass me like that, or serve it up on a platter to the people who hate me. Don't tweet it at all, or leave it as a more general thing. But you can't include me like that and then privately be like, nope, never mind, I'm not going to do it. So I said, fuck that. He also was telling me that he spoke to people at Barstool who, as it was described to Deke, he said, Deke said to me that he was told that Barstool needs to continue to have the fear of God in people when they come to work every day. And by keeping the list anonymous, nobody will know and everybody will be on edge. And I was like, first of all, that's fucking insane. Who out here is being like, we need the fear of God in our bloggers? Second of all, it doesn't make any sense to keep it quiet, because what would put the fear of God in somebody is like, hey, if you do this and you fuck around, you will get caught, and you will be, there will be a top guy, a guy who's an original OG who finds out about it and knows that you're a fucking rat. That, to me, is the way to save Barstool or make it a better workplace, not just let it go unchecked, where people are just like, oh, I got away with it. Deke's not going to say anything. No one's going to know. I can just keep doing these things. And then thirdly, it was like, in what world would you stand in the way of this? Why would you not want to know? Why would there be any scenario in which you care about the list coming out or the names coming out if you don't have any part of it? If you're not involved in it, if you didn't do it, you're not on the list or you're not being spoken about. It's like, just stay out of it then. So as Deke described it, which I believe is a lie, he said, I spoke to many Barstool personalities, and all of them said, don't release the list. You're the only one who said to do it. I don't believe that, only because I do know of some of the other people he spoke to, and I do know who wants the list out there. Now, they could be lying to me and telling Deke something else. Who knows? But, it's like either you are a part of this and you have a right to know because someone has come in here and just planted a seed. Hey, that place that you worked really hard to build? Like within those walls, you're constantly getting shit on by people. And then just disappear. Either that's happening to you and that's fucked up and that's a manipulative thing that's making your workplace worse, or if you are not mentioned in it and you don't want the list out, there's only one other explanation, and that's you're a part of it. If somebody comes to you and says there's a whole list of people who are bad people, who have done shitty things, and you have nothing to do with that, why would you stand in the way of it coming out? To the person who has a right to know. So I was fired up over Deke and anybody who was basically trying to stop me from figuring out who's talking shit about me. So now, just to be clear, because I got this a lot, people on Twitter, as I was hate tweeting, being like, there is no list. Why are you still talking about it? There is no list. Putting that aside, everything that was being discussed is under the assumption that a list exists. So try to follow me here. Whether or not a list exists, there was a conversation, which it does, by the way. There's conversations being had about releasing it, and people who I work with are trying to stop it from coming out. Whether or not that's real, those conversations are real. And now I know that those things were said. Or, again, Deke Zucker could be lying about the whole thing. And I guess, if you think that Deke's lying about absolutely everything, then, yeah, you probably think I sound like an idiot. I know enough that we've pretty much confirmed that there is something there. Like I said, it's a lot. What Deke described was a lot more. Man, this conversation I had with him was off the reservation, man. It was so overdramatic, and we were going off on tangents, and I was just like, could you please just fucking let me know who is stabbing me in the back, please? But the point of it being, I just lost my train of thought. But the point of it being that, why are you standing in the way of it if you don't have any issues there? So, I know what I was gonna say. What Deke described was that it was more like there are people at Reddit who are also stoolies, who are also active in the Barstool subreddit, who were following along with all the different usernames and all the different activity and putting together pieces of the puzzle. Not like we have your email address is linked to this account or your IP address was used when you posted here. It was a lot more kind of cross-referencing tweets and other things that were said based on then what was said on Reddit and how active they are and how much shit they talk about this person. You can kind of start to draw conclusions. So that's really not even enough to, as it's being described, Deke was told, don't release this list because of the legal ramifications. There's no legal ramifications for telling people who's talking shit. It's just about peace of mind of knowing who's shitty and who's not. And who was fucking with me when I was at my lowest and who wasn't. And who was a bad person to work with or alongside of or produce with or whatever. That's all it's about. It wouldn't even be enough for legal ramifications. So, after all of that, I did wake up this morning and I was like, all right, this is I feel foolish. I'm a fucking father of two. I'm 37 years old. We're talking, this whole week has felt like fucking middle school. I'm done with it. So, I don't, it is more fucked up that I will just be walking the halls being like, it was fucked up enough that I used to walk in here and be like, I know who had my back and I think I know who didn't. And now I know, confirmed that there's a whole bunch of people who didn't and probably still don't and still talk shit. And I have to kind of walk around being like, is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? And the same thing for Smitty and the same thing for a bunch of other people who were listed. And I'm sure that the people who were doing those sort of things and did have burners were shaking in their boots for a couple days, and they were about to be outed, and now this dude just says, "Oh, never mind," in the most absurd Twitter thread of all time. Again, the legal ramifications cracked me up. So the that's where I'm going to leave it with Deke and the list. I think it was bizarre that there was not any attention paid to it. I mean, to me, that's super suspicious. It's anybody would want to know that, and if you don't, or you stand in the way of it, there's really only one reason you would do that. I don't understand why anybody would stand in the way, unless if you really thought there were legal ramifications. Okay, I just don't think that there any logical reason why that would be the case. So if you want to talk this, you want to talk Marty, Rhea, Hank, Tom Brady, whatever. The number is, what did I tweet it out? It's 888-STOOL22. But I know people hate when you tweet out numbers with the letters. So it's 1-888-786-6522. We can also go through the New York Post list of all the most recent ridiculous posts that the New York Post puts out there. I also was talking shit about, I want to do a little Barstool DVR because I'm getting fed up with all the Better Call Saul fans in my mentions. Better Call Saul is one of the most overrated shows of all time. Not necessarily meaning that it's bad, but the fact that people put it in the pantheon of great shows when they also simultaneously admit that there's several bad seasons and slow seasons, that completely blows my mind. But obviously the big news of the week is everything going on internally at Barstool. So you can call up about that. The phone lines are open. I also do want to say, I've made this argument before when talking about 1 Minute Man and stuff. Everybody out there, all the stoolies who say, who cares about celebrity gossip? Who cares about the Kardashians? Who cares about sex tapes? Who cares? Boring. I thought this was Barstool Sports. You should be fired. I thought this isn't TMZ. Well, this has been our biggest traffic week of all time. And all those same losers who are the most diehard people who are I miss the old Barstool, when this is the most old Barstool saga of all time, are now also the people who are in the comments calling up the shows. I had 10,000 concurrent viewers on the Monday stream. I had, 100,000 views within the day, all sorts of comments, all sorts of activity. You're all dirtballs too. We're all dirtballs who get invested in the sex lives and the personal lives and the professional lives of people who are in the spotlight. So I don't ever want to hear it again, because this might be the worst of all. At least when you're talking about the Kardashians and celebrities and shit, they're high-level people who the whole world knows. We are invested in the lives of people who are really not on that level, no shade. But, I don't ever want to hear it again, because this is the most gossip that has ever been gossiped. And I'm down with it. I'll make videos about it. I'll talk about it. But just don't act like you're above it when clearly you're not. Let's go to Hunter. What's up, Hunter, in Cleveland? What do you got? Hunter. There you go. What's up, Hunter?
Kevin, my man, how's it going, dude?
Good. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing great. Doing great, man. I just want to say, I know that you are a pretty worldly man and wise, with all of the experience of life, and I think you're doing a great job, kind of as a de facto head of state, in a way, the leadership that has been central, to Barstool and everything you guys have created. I think right now is most important, because even if you don't get I know you don't want to talk about it, but now everyone is kind of suspicious of each other in a sense.
Yeah, right. That's what's fucked up.
Never good. It's not fair to anyone, especially, but fuck, man. But I think you're doing exactly the best that could be the response, though. You and Fights, man. I feel for you. It's just, we all fucking hit low points, and life happens to everyone.
What's crazy too, Hunter, though, is I'm imagining that a lot of it he specifically referenced 5 years ago, which is when everything happened. But he said it, I don't think it's exclusive just to that. And I can't tell what's worse. What do you think is worse, Hunter? People talking about my personal shit, or if they're talking about like the rest of me, because I feel like at Barstool I've always taken on the role of trying to help the younger people who I do it like completely selflessly, like I don't get anything out of it. I try to put people on. I try to help them through the hard times and I find producers and give away producers, all this shit that I'm almost like, you know what? People talk shit about people who cheat on their spouse. Like that happens. If it's the rest of what they're talking about, I'm almost even more mad.
Oh, dude, I'm right there with you, man. I mean, it's an easy thing for people to, pretend their own lives aren't fucked up and like talk shit about something that's obvious and apparent, but like to do the other part of it, and what you get out of it is nothing more than you being who you are. Like,
Yeah.
what you get out of it is just getting to be the guy that you are, who like is just trying to enjoy his life, like, and just doing, like you said, just fucking being. It's hard for the good guys, man. It's hard for the nice guys because you get burned so much, and like I'm totally with you though, because it's so like sadistic, in its nature. It's like you're trying to hurt real lives.
Well, and that's what it comes down to.
When they're down.
Yeah, I mean, you're kicking someone while you're down. You're kicking someone anonymously. To me, in this world, and I appreciate the call, Hunter. Thank you for the kind words. In this world, you are either a burner person or you're not, and that extends more beyond just like, do you have a actual burner? It means like, do you live like an open book, or do you have all these secrets? Are you like, and sometimes it's there's a fine line between like shrewd business and like conniving asshole. Sometimes people are, trying to get to the top and trying to succeed. And along the way, you step on a couple people, or you do some things that are harsh, or sometimes they are regrettable, or, nobody's perfect. But also, there usually is a line where it's like, are you willing to take it to this point? And I think, some people are and some people aren't. And then to, float the idea of like, you can find out which ones are which, you probably should follow through on that. Let's go to... no, wait, hang on. If I put air 1, does it put it back on, or click hold?
Hold to put them on hold, air 1 to put them on air.
Okay, put you back on hold. Okay. Let's go to Sean. Sean is in Orlando. What's up, Sean?
KFC, what's up, baby?
How you doing, brother?
I want to say real quick, one, you're KFC, man. You already been through so much. That list don't matter to you. It's non-existent. I know it sucks. No one wants to have that in their own camp, but you already been through so much. Everything you already brushed off. Fuck that list.
I know. That's what happened to me today. I was down in the dumps last night, man. I was watching the Mets game. I got up. I drove to my parents' house in the Bronx. I was just staring at my fucking ceiling, and I was like bugging out. And I was down in the dumps. The Mets end up winning. I go to sleep. I wake up the next morning, and I was like, dude, I've been through so much worse than this. This is like, I need to chill out. I was being very childish over it. So I'm doing this episode because I gotta like kind of put a bow on it and explain to the fans what went on. But I'm beyond it at this point. It is what it is.
Right. And the only other thing I gotta say is to everyone before I forget, everyone's like, oh, you guys covered all this bullshit, whatever. Everybody feels that way about everybody because we see so much of that crap. But my first Barstool experience was hanging out with one of my friends. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm in this website. They posted the sex tape from the teen mom, Farrah. That was my first Barstool experience.
Yep. Yeah, man. I mean,
happy with that.
That's what it's always been. I appreciate it, Sean. Thank you. I mean, people used to say this all the time too when we would cover like something a little more, let's say, typically female or pop culture or teeny bopper or whatever. And Dave would be like, one of my longest running jokes was how I used to watch American Idol every week, or how I used to dress up like Aaron Lambert or Adam Lambert and all these things that are like, yeah, we've always been this way. It's always been a mix of everything. That's why it fucking works, you morons. We do sports, we do pop culture, we do men, we do women, we do cool, we do lame, we do old, we do young, everything. So, and at the end of the day, it maybe chicks do circulate towards it more, and they're drawn to it more, and that's why it's like the Kardashians of the world and all that. The fan bases are heavily female, but they're also heavily human. They have zillions of dollars and bajillions of views because everyone's drawn to this shit. Let's go to Forrest in Oregon. What's up, Forrest?
Hey, what's going on, KFC?
How are you, bro?
Good, man. I just wanted to, there's been a lot of negativity, a lot of bullshit, as you know. It was never Deke Zucker. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Jersey Jerry. I'm the third lieutenant of the Jersey Jerry Army.
Uh-huh.
You guys said call about anything, so I figured maybe I'd just do that.
Yeah, shout out to Jer. I mean, I don't know. I saw a little bit. I don't know. The Marty situation's fucked in the sense of like, you know, Jerry and Marty, Jerry and Rico being like, well, you know, we're done, dude. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. You know, a lot of this is like, who are you friends with and who are you loyal to? And there's new people and old people, and there are people you do shows with and people you don't do shows with. I guess, you know, Jerry very specifically said, I got to look out for number one. And he was, you know, talking more about being on Team Hank and I guess left his show. I'm not sure, like, fully of the details, though, on that one, though. Let's go to Riley in Canada. What's up, Riley?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What's up, bro?
I just want to say I think that you look at the original tweet about the list, and it said, you know, if I release this list, KFC and 5 or 6 others are going to come into HQ with baseball bats or whatever he said.
Yeah.
I have to laugh. He's not releasing the list, but then he just, like you kind of mentioned it, he singles you out. I know he kind of talked about committee as well. Why is he only singling you two out? Like, either release the list or release the other 5, 6 names that would come into HQ.
Yeah, or like, don't mention me at all. Like, don't bring me into this, man.
Yeah, or don't.
You know, I don't want any part of this. I've gone through the fire on so much. I've dealt with my own shit. I still deal with my own shit. I have way more pressing that's outside of Barstool. I don't fucking care about who's banging who and who was dating who. I don't care about that. And I wasn't going to care about this until you put my name on it and single me out. And now everyone's in my mentions and everyone's in my DMs. Who do you think it is? Ha ha ha, you're the problem. We called it. Nobody likes all this shit. Then now I have to defend myself extra. And a guy who was like a self-proclaimed Team KFC guy is doing this for no fucking reason. Came out of nowhere and just does it to me. And it's, I mean, I guess you could say, yeah, you know, tell, you know, it's not, like, let the other people know, not just KFC and Smitty. But it's almost like, no, because now you're just dragging more people into it. Either do it and let those people know. Do it and don't single anybody out, or just don't fucking do it at all. This cop out of like, I want Barstool to be a better place, but I also don't want any legal ramifications, so I'm going to protect the people who are shitty. Get the fuck out of here with that.
Yep, I agree.
I appreciate the call, dude. Thank you. Let's go to Matt in Knoxville. What's up, Matt?
Hey, man, love the show. I just wanted to talk a little bit. I know that everyone's talking about how anyone that's interested in, you know, the relationship drama is a little, you know, maybe being a little childish. This is my Kardashians. You know, I love Barstool. I love, you guys are my, you know, the guys that I care most about. I'm invested in your content. But I'm just curious. I mean, if this happened at any other corporation in America, like, you know, this happens not in the public eye. Obviously, it doesn't become as big of a story. But do you not think that, like, if someone slept with or, you know, started dating the ex of a, you know, a very higher up that's close with the CEO and has been around for the start of the company, like, not just the bro code aspect of it, but the business, you know, relationship drama of it, do you not think that the exact same response or something very similar would be happening from, you know, the higher ups, the Daves and the big cats of that corporation?
I don't know. It's a good question. You know, I think the difference is in the corporate world, like, you can't stop somebody from doing their job. I mean, I guess, you know, like, if Marty was just an undeniable superstar at this, he would have fans, you know, his streams would crush, and he had all the views and downloads he needs regardless, and that would be his way of like just proving, you know, that he's got worth and value. But he's not on that level, and so in that sense, you need to be able to work alongside people. In a regular, like, corporate America job, if I just, like, if I'm a trader and I just trade well, doesn't matter if you like me or not, you think I'm a cheater or not, or a scumbag or not, or whatever. if I am the best salesman, if I can make the best spreadsheets and do the best marketing or whatever these other things are, you can't, it just is what it is. I think in this case, though, it's like, Dan and Dave rule the gambling world. You're going to be in the gambling world. You're not, you're going to get like snuffed out. So I don't know if, I don't know. I don't know enough about, the only time I had like 5 years in the corporate world when, I know at that place everybody was fucking everybody. I think that this happens in a lot of places. But I don't know how it would have gone down because I just don't think there's the same like tools, if you will. There's not the same ability to, like punish somebody for it. Like it's just once those two guys are out on you, you're in trouble. So I don't know. It feels like apples to oranges in the sense of like you're performing. You need to have chemistry. You need to travel with each other. And if someone's like, I'm out on you, I can't do that anymore, that's going to hurt you. Whereas, it's like, okay, I'm sorry you don't like me, but I'm over here on my laptop banging out my Excel shit and, executing these trades and whatever it may be. And you can't really stop somebody. So it's hard to just, to compare. Jack from Chicago. What's up, Jack?
Hey, how's it going, Kevin? You got me?
Yep. What's going on?
Awesome. Not much, man. I just wanted to follow up on obviously the whole saga here. I'm really more interested, though, and just kind of curious in your thoughts of how this whole new Blackjack Boys is coming about. Obviously, they got the Coin Boys, Dana and Marty. That's kind of their thing. That's realistically now is looking like what's Marty's kind of last hope, as far as I'm concerned, or is what it's looking like. And now they're just kind of stepping in. To me, I love everyone here. It's kind of a petty thing in my eyes. I see them do that. But obviously, I'd like to see Dana stick up for Marty. Kind of, what are your thoughts on all that? And kind of just, I know you're probably sick of it by now and just kind of waiting for this to die down. But
no, I mean, it's definitely petty. It's obviously petty. It's like that's why they're doing it. I think Dave is making a point. I think it's not only, does Dave ride for Hank, but like he is going to go to the extra mile to like really make that point. The thing about it, like I mean, if you're gonna do it, you're doing it, right? Dave is doing it to be like, fuck you, and that's Dave is outwardly saying he thinks that Marty's a scumbag and doesn't want him here, and is like gonna make sure that happens. Dan being like we're doing it and it's good for business for gambling people is tough. It's a petty move, and if you're going to be a part of the pettiness, you got to, call it what it is. And I think Dave is built for that. I don't know if Dan is built for that. I don't know if he, wants to be the bad guy. Dave, relishes that spot. But, it's obvious what's going on there. It's only happening for one reason, to try to spin it as no, this is actually good for Marty and Dana is crazy. That's why I think Dana replied right away, this is a load of shit. Because, it is. You can't do that and then claim you're helping me out. You can't claim that you're doing my show with bigger personalities to replace me and then say it's good for me, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's just my question. So have a great day.
You got it, bro. I'm going to rip through a couple more, and then I got to bounce because I got to go get a new fucking car, and it takes 1,000 hours to get a car now. Danny in Jersey. What's up, Danny?
Hey, what's up, KFC?
How are you, bro?
Good, bro. I just got a quick question. According, I mean, the mush stuff is interesting, but I'm not really interested in that. I got more question on this Deke guy. If you were to predict one Barstool employee currently who would have the most anonymous accounts, who would it be? And one employee who has since left Barstool that would be using the Reddit to terrorize Barstool, who do you think they'd be?
I mean, there's actually there's a couple names that I'm not allowed to say. I think legally we have gag orders. So there's a couple people who were here previously who I think were Reddit users. You can connect the dots there if you do have any Barstool history. And as far as knowing now, that's what's fucked up about doing this. I walk the halls and I'm kind of You? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? I mean, I said the other day, I'm like, I know it's not Nick, Jackie, Pavs fights, Zach. It's not Clem. It's not Robbie. It's not Trent. It's not Frankie. And I don't think it's Rudy. But I don't know, anybody else. Like, there's this perception, I think, in Barstool that everybody's best friends and everybody's brothers and we are family. And it's just not true. This place is a big place with adults who grow up and been here a long time. And, you're friends with some people. You're coworkers with some people. You're friends with some people you do content with. You're friends with some people you don't do content with. You're enemies with some people you do content with. And enemies you don't do content with. And there's people, you're acquaintances. There are people that you don't like, but you don't have beef with. There's people you have outward beef with. That I just was surprised because I've always, as much hate as I get on the internet, in my personal life and in my professional life, not on the internet. You feel me? Like actually human interaction at work and my personal life outside of work. I don't have any enemies. I don't have people who hate me. I'm like a very easygoing guy, very agreeable. Feel like I'm helpful. So it's weird when you're just constantly getting an endless barrage of hate when you're like, I don't know, everybody else that I've ever interacted with likes me. Like I don't have any enemies that I can think of outside of any Barstool stuff. I've never been the type of controversial confrontation type of guy. So I'm always interested to find out. Like Fights was the same thing. He was scratching his head. He was like, I would have guessed you're top 5 most liked at the company, but then you find out, or at least allegedly, that someone says the whole place has been talking about you, and it's like I don't really know what's going on here. Let's go to Scott in Salt Lake. What's up, Scott?
Hey Kevin, I just had a quick question about since Podfathers is getting canceled, is going to be a big wave of all the small podcasts at Barstool getting canceled, or is this kind of just the start?
I think
one getting canceled.
There was a like a reorganization, if you will, of some of the producers, and it was more about using resources efficiently and correctly. And there are some shows that are not thriving. I don't think Podfathers was one of those. I think Podfathers is just an extremely niche show. I don't think it was really failing. I think it was actually succeeding as a parenting podcast. It's just that a parenting podcast is not going to be knocking down the iTunes charts. They're not going to be getting millions of downloads. I think for what it was supposed to be, it was very good. I think if you are a new parent, you should still go listen to all the first episodes that are kind of evergreen about going through the process. It's kind of a good guidebook that I don't think is going to change anytime soon. I still think it's the only show out there that really talked the truth about parenting. I had to leave it once my life blew up personally because I didn't think it was fair. Every single comment and shred of feedback would have been, why are we listening to this guy? Why do we care about his opinion? He cheated on his wife. When in reality, I think that's unfortunately a very relatable thing for people who are either have gone through that or are divorced for other reasons, because you got to talk about being a single dad and going through divorce and raising your kids in 2 different houses and all that shit. There's a ton of people who could have related to that, but people, kind of exiled me from that, and I didn't think it was fair to have these other guys work on the show only to have me and my personal life loom over it and kind of put a black cloud over it. So I kind of, bailed out, and Large slid in perfectly, and so did his wife Annie, and so did Clem's wife. And a lot of people really busted their ass, people who don't even work there, wives who just wanted to see it get out there. And I think there will be a lot of disappointed Podfathers fans. But also, Barstool is a business. We've never really fired people or cut shows. We just let a lot of things flounder. And I think for the first time, we needed to make those tough decisions. And it sucks and it's sad, but also, that's business, right? So that's how it goes. Let's go to Bob in Iowa. What's up, Bob?
Hey, how's it going, Kevin? I was just, first of all, start off Team Hank, but I'm also not on this. I'm not one of the guys who's saying fire Marty Mush. Yeah, it's a scumbag move, but I mean, Marty clearly likes Rhea, so why not let him do it? But I was just kind of wondering, what's it kind of like out there on the floor? What's the vibes like? Is it pretty divided? Everybody's like, I'm Team Hank, I'm Team Marty, I'm Team Rhea. What's going on out there?
I think it's a lot of Team Hank, and then if people are Team Marty, they're not saying it because they're afraid. So it feels overwhelmingly Team Hank, but I think there are some people. Nobody's Team Marty. Like, nobody's happy. Nobody wants to go, fuck somebody's ex. But everybody's an ex to somebody, and obviously, the thought is there's a million people in the city. There's a million other people even at Barstool to hook up with. And why did it have to be that one? It comes down to a decision of, like, do you believe in the whole idea of, like, you can't help who you like and the heart wants what it wants? I do believe when you're an adult, you can kind of say you don't get everything you want, and when there's a bad idea, you probably shouldn't do it. But also, how far do you take? My thing is like this. I'm like, I'd be like, are you okay? Are you bent out of shape about it? If you're not, then I'm not. I'm not going to get upset about somebody else for them, But I do think if anybody is Team Marty, like, wholeheartedly, they ain't saying it because, why would you? All right, I got to wrap it up. I got to go and get this fucking car. As always, we'll wrap it up with my guy, Corey. He's here to drop some true wisdom on the people. It's been a long week, a lot of immaturity, a lot of fighting, a lot of gossiping, a lot of anger, a lot of hate. But one thing I think still rings true. What do you think, Corey?
You are the most underrated genius in the world. And I want to say real quick, I was going to go on this rant on Twitter the other day after the Monday show. You really don't get enough credit for how hard you work with all the shows. And I don't understand why people got to talk shit.
I just think you're right. I'm an underrated genius, and I'm an underrated worker, and I totally agree with you, Corey. All right, that's it for me. We'll see you guys next week when I can return to being an adult. And what do you mean? Like a new Yankee scumbag fan?
Here, I'll just show you the photo.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he's got. Oh yeah. This guy was at the game last night, right? When I say he has a chain on, he has like a literal fucking chain on, like a chain link, like lock up your Vespa scooter on a pole. Those are your people, TJ. Those are your scumbags.
Those are my people.
Thank you. I fucking, like, the Yankee fans should embrace that. That guy should be the Yankee Pope. Everybody was like, no, we're not like that. Like, yes, you fucking are, and you should be. Everything's going good right now, right? Now's the time to lean into it and be like, yep, we're scumbags, and we're better than you.
Show up to the bleachers and get your ass kicked. That's what happens.
All right, that's it. We'll catch you guys next week on the Kevin Clancy Show.